Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to optimize your ads, find winning ads in your ads manager, as well as a tool that you can use for free that will allow you to actually spy on competitors. I've only started using this tool and I'm going to be using it for my SaaS and ecom brands. And I just really wanted to share it. I thought it was really cool. Wanted to show for transparency store. As you can see, the conversion rate has really sucked recently and sales today are just terrible, right? I think I've spent like $100 but you can see yesterday was really good. Conversion rates dropped. You can see the traffic has increased 61%. Likely to be bot traffic. You do get times where that happens where actually that it's just a load of crap, and usually you can sort of tell when you have a look at your deeper analytics. If you look at more your cart to checkout, if that looks more normal rather as opposed to just page views, that means you've probably got a lot of bot traffic, or it's just a lot of additional traffic that I can remarket. But a lot of it, you do get that, because I noticed this spiked in just the last 7 days in terms of traffic. See that? It's sort of abnormal levels, right? Getting good amount, and then it's just gone absolutely bonkers. And one could say, oh, that's fantastic, but the other part could be like, yeah, no, because you can see that the conversion rates drop massively as an overview, right? But don't get too confused by that. But you can see that sales have been good. On average about 2-3K a day. Running an end of financial year sale is working quite well. And so just wanted to show you that this works. I don't do crazy numbers. I don't want to do crazy numbers. I run multiple businesses and I'm busy, and personally I'm just happy with this. I have the view of spend less, make more, right? I prefer that. I've tried the approach of spending more, a lot more to scale, and I've scaled to over like 80K a day many years ago. And I actually, running the numbers after logistics and everything was actually pretty much breaking even, believe it or not. You think that at those numbers that it's impossible. No, it was spamming ads, and the ads cost way too much. So my approach is I spend less. I think I'll show in the ads manager in a second, but I think in the last week between Google and Facebook probably spent about $1,200. No, probably more actually. Probably about $1,500 or something. I'll check. We'll check together. But you can see, it doesn't take a genius to know that it's like, well, $1,500 spend for that much, including the apps, which all the apps, I think, is like the biggest one's Klaviyo, which over time will be moving to my email tool, so that'll save me about $600 a month. Probably about 800 a month. So my point is highly profitable. Obviously, this isn't including cost of goods, and I could use all these tracking tools and everything, but I just do it all personally, manually. In terms of, I just use a sheet. I just prefer it that way. If I'm honest, I could use an analytics tool, but I like to times do things a bit more manual. It keeps me a bit more in tune. But anyway, that being said, let's go now into the first step, which is looking into how to look at competitor ads and the tool that you can use, which is really, really cool to follow them. So let's get straight into it. All right. So I'm just in this tool called Magic Brief. I'm not affiliated with them. I just use this and I'm using it as a trial. You can make a free account. It does have paid plans naturally, but have a look and see what you think, especially as a start. It can be really helpful, especially as you scale, just to get some ideas, right? So you can have a look. And what I do is you just go to Inspire. You can track brands. So I've tracked High Smile. You can discover brands. So in this case, I've gone brands I follow. But if I want to go brand name, I don't know. Why can't I think of a name? McDonald's. Stupid idea, but there we go. There you go. Probably a bad example modeling that, right? What I did in ChatGPT was I put top brands in cosmetics, right? So if you're ever unsure, just use like a GPT tool, and then there we go. It's better. I don't want McDonald's. Why can't I get rid of McDonald's? Let's restart this. Filter. Beautiful. All right, so you can see here they've got a lot of different creatives all running, and you can copy the link and have a closer look at the creative. See the performance, the runtime, launched, what platforms it on, view brand on Facebook. So you can see it. It's basically the ads manager, but it's better. And you can, I didn't know that actually. You can actually download it as well. That's pretty neat, if I want to be honest. Because who doesn't want to do that? You can use other ones, but having that there, it's pretty just handy to have. But anyway, what you want to do is you don't really want to. You want to look at performance, winners, and great. And you want to look at runtime at least over the last 30 days, right? Because you want to see some consistency. Matches 30 days. Give it a moment. So you can see these ads have a classified, and. So I'm filtering down. I mean, obviously, I'm going to filter it a bit further. I'm going to go that. What I do is I just sort of drill down. Right, so you can see that this one's done allegedly really well for them. Let's have a look into why. Performance, 43 days launched. Then you can even copy the script, and view the landing page. Let's have a look. I don't know why it's going to this. That's bizarre. But anyway, so let's have a look. It's in a different language. I think that's why it's done well, because it's probably in a less saturated market. So what we can do, I thought you could. Let's have a look at advanced filters. Language, English. Okay, because obviously most of us are targeting that, so I might have to change filters. I suspect I won't come back with any. Oh no, I have. There we go. So you can see that if I have a closer look at this creative, it's done really well. 35 days. Again, download. You can search, add it to boards. As I said, I'm not affiliated with this, but the point is that you can use this to sort of get an idea. If you're trying to sell this makeup thing, you can see the before and after, show the product, boom, there you go. It doesn't need to be even that long. You can get plenty of inspiration from this. You can see the main reason that this is good, this is a handy tool, is because the Facebook one is still fantastic. But when I search Maybelline, like I see all these creatives, but I just don't have the level of filter granularity. That's really all you want. And then, if a lot of agencies and stuff will use this, I'm even going to be using it for my brands and stuff as well, more because I want to track brands and look at reports. So this is actually personally a really handy tool, and it's why I always love testing new things, because I was unexpected when I just wanted to make a video on this. And you can save it, pretty straightforward. Save to a board, inspiration, ideas. And you can see that a lot of creatives are mostly the best ones are video. Okay, and you can see that I've put and I don't want or, I want and. Okay, and you can save as a smart collection. Okay, so you can see that the English, they must be marketing to a lot of countries outside of the US. So that's, why. So sometimes you just have to go through the filters, but you can sort of see that, how easy that really was to find great creatives. If you want to do it in the ads manager, you can do that there too. And you do have filters. You can, by language, platform, but you can't really do much else. So just having that little bit of extra granularity helps. Okay. So that's pretty much it. Now, I wanted to talk a bit about this before I get into the ads manager part of this. The easiest way is to look at the ads library for free. That's free long term. Or use Magic Brief. Use it as a trial. Honestly, just use it as a trial. Especially if you're starting your business, you don't want to be spending $250 a month. So just start a trial, let it end. You really just want to see what's working for competitor brands, get some ideas, and then do it for yourself. That's really all you want. Obviously, as you're scaling your business, you'll want to pay a tool like this. It's really helpful, especially e-commerce, because it's that, mostly running paid ads. But yeah, you get my point. You can also use tools like Big Spy. I've used tools like that before as well. They're good. As I said, I normally use ChatGPT to look at big brands just to get inspiration as a starting point. If I'm going into a space, I have no idea, right? I'm not going to guess. I'm going to see what the biggest players are doing, and then I'll do research. And what I'll do is, okay, the biggest players are doing this. You don't want to always follow the biggest players because they have the brand recognition. They're going to get away with, they can make crappy creatives and they'll convert, right? So you want to look at the biggest, get an idea, then find some similar ones, right, that are smaller players, right? It's usually established brands that are smaller players that have to try harder, so you always want to look for them as well. So just a little tip, as I said, I was just starting simple just to give you a bit of an idea there. And you look for the longest running ads, usually 30 days, right? With the way that Facebook ads is now, usually 2 to 4 weeks is the definition of a great creative, unless it's in an unsaturated space. But, usually a lot of brands that are heavily scaling will be running a lot of ads very aggressively, turning them on and off and split testing a lot, right? So very important to keep that in mind. As I said, you can use AI UGC tools. There's HeyGen, there's Creatify. I'm building an AI UGC tool. I love it that much. I've actually started the initial concept of it, but that's a new brand that I'm slowly working on. I love software brands, always have. If images, use something like Canva. I recommend learning something like Canva. I'm not a graphic designer. I hire a graphic designer. If you want email for a graphic designer, great guy, more than happy to put you in touch. You can also use the Facebook API, right? So you got the API. What you can do is, I actually am starting to use N8N, and what you can do, you sort of go through this. You make a new app, and you can actually use tool like N8N to pull from that as well. But as I said, I've started using this, so I'm just using it as a test myself. So I'm not saying I'm a genius at it by any means. But if you want to learn about N8N, there's someone I know, Arthur DeBrooks. He's got a new channel. I've also got a channel on AI N8N as well. I'm still learning it, but I'm really just enjoying it, and I like making content about it. Truthfully, it's an amazing tool. So when you find winning ads, you want to go in this order, right? So always it's cost per purchase. Cost per purchase, I did that in one of my last videos. Cost per purchase is always the metric you go for. You'll always find, and I'll show you, I literally turned off an ad today, that cost per purchase is the most important stat, right? And I'm testing LLAs. I tested purchase LLAs, lookalike audiences, and you just see a correlation, right? If you see two ads, for example, and let's say they've spent the same amount, and one has 8 purchases, one has 3, this one's going to have a far higher cost per purchase. This one's going to have a lower ROAS, and the other one's going to have a higher ROAS, guaranteed, right? And if they've spent a good amount of money, let's say like $50, and have a couple of purchases, and the other spent $80 and has 10 purchases, turn that other one off, because as you scale, you look at anyone on YouTube that does Facebook ads and you see the ROAS, as you scale, your ROAS goes lower, right? That's why I take the approach of, I don't aggressively scale. I focus on conversion rates, slow and steady repeat customer rate. It works a lot better, and I can sleep a lot better at night. So when it comes to that in mind, it's very important that that you understand that if the trajectory is always of your cost per purchase inevitably going to go up, then if it's already higher than another ad set or ad, then it's only going to get worse. So just turn it off before it gets worse. Save your money. Focus on what's already working. Okay. So very important. Look at all your active ads in your active ad sets that you're running, and just turn off the ones. You'll get that. You'll see patterns. You'll just get a feel for it, and I'll sort of show you a bit of what I mean. Turn off the bad ones based on your KPI. Is your break-even ROAS 1.2? Break-even ROAS 4.5? You can use ChatGPT to figure out your break-even ROAS. So you can do tools like that as well. Leave the remaining, if you find a common thread that is creative, then you're onto something. Copy it and slightly change it. That's how you do it, right? So you start by modeling using something like an ad library to then find the type of creative, try and make that creative using like an AI UGC tool, preferably, because it's cheap, it's effective, it's fast. And once you find the types of creatives that you're after, keep just similarly modeling it. Now, I always say don't change the copy all that much. Copy, you'll see lots of companies running ads change copy, but it really doesn't make that much of a difference. I've found it helped, but just use like the dynamic copy option in Facebook where it does it for you. And that's all I really do, right? As I said, I don't spend all day in my ads manager. I'm not an agency owner in that regard. So for me, because I don't spend a huge amount, I focus, as you all know, I focus on a lot of other areas. So my point is that I don't ever want to aggressively scale. So this strategy does definitely work at scale very easily, but you don't need to look at every detail, right? I see so many videos online, and what it is a lot of the time is it's agencies where that's their entire job is to look at every little detail, right? But if I'm honest with you, you don't need an agency. I would go on like Upwork or something, find a freelancer that costs you $15-20 as a Facebook ads media buyer, get them to work 10 hours a week. You'll spend $1,000 a month as opposed to like $5-10 grand for an agency, and you will fundamentally get the same result. And if you learn this yourself, honestly, you can even run it yourself now. It's really that easy. But anyway, and like in other videos, make sure you drill down, learn your age, learn your country, age, gender, placement in that order. Okay, so let's go into the ads manager now. All right, so wanted to show you, right, this is the ads manager. You can see last 30 days done really well. You can see the ROAS is good, right? If I look at last 7 days, ROAS even better, right? Now, what you'll see, again, I always like to reiterate on the importance of a lower cost. So what does that say? Yeah, change in cost per result, right? Whatever, ignore that. Do you see how it's like literally the exact example? Lower cost per purchase, higher ROAS. Higher cost per purchase, lower ROAS. Higher cost per purchase again, lower ROAS. And see how this one nearly has $1.65 or whatever, and this one nearly has the same ROAS, probably because the average order value has been larger. Okay, so sometimes it's circumstantial, but you can always see that there's an exact correlation between those two columns, and that's why I just always look at it. And like, you can see, if you get where's my add to cart? A lot more add to carts. I've got this in the wrong order, right? But a lot more add to carts, a lot more purchases, cost per add to carts cheaper, and so on and so forth. You can see I've turned off this one that didn't actually perform that well. So let's go now into the campaign, into the ad set level. You can see here I just label them like this. As I said, like my naming conventions are not good. You can see I put 2544. And you can see that I've ran some, and you can see, look, the ROAS here is good, okay? But I turned it off because I just wasn't happy with it. Like when you look at it, right, because you look at, okay, so it's already got, when I look at my other ad sets, okay, they've got about the same cost of purchase. Why does this only have one? Now, I know that I should give it some more time. It has a good ROAS, but considering that I have a number of ad sets running, I was like, well, look, the CPC is higher, the CTR is lower, the add to carts are lower, the cost per add to carts lower. It just has not gotten off to a good start. Move on. There's plenty of other ad sets. So that's sort of how I always look at it anyway. And you can see here that this one has a 12.28, again showing you higher cost per purchase, lower ROAS. Lower cost per purchase, higher ROAS. Okay, and again, it's very indicative of, as you can see, this one is a very strong winner. And you can see this one is the real winner because what it's done is that it's spent 7, 14, 21, 28, nearly 4 times the amount of that, and its cost per purchase is only a little bit higher. So what that means is this is performing really well. This is a 4 to 6% purchase LLA. So when I made a purchase for the last 180 days is what I personally do of all purchases, because I just wanted all purchases. And when you make that, you just do the dial 4 to 6%, which I think in Australia was an audience of about 500,000 people. Okay, but that's pretty much it. And then I would look at the ads and sort of optimize that as well. That's pretty much all that you really need to do there, right? And it's all very straightforward. If you look at your cost per purchase, and always, this one's doing really well, okay? But as it scales and spends more, the cost per purchase will go up because you're going to get more losses than wins. You always get more losses than wins. And that's why it's an inevitability. And that's why if you see that you've spent such a little amount and you've only got, I know I could get more purchases, but because I'm running on an intentionally lower budget. Now you can see here as well, I turned off this one, the 2 to 4%. It spent $43. Okay, so I'm comparing it to this one, which is 46%. Okay, so if we have a look, if it spent nearly half, or about 40% of what this one spent, and it's only gotten 3 purchases, and this one's gotten 3 times the amount of purchases, what do you think is going to happen as it gets to $70.66? In theory, my experience has been the cost of purchase will only continue to rise. It is highly unlikely to get another 6 purchases in the remaining $37. Okay, because it would have to literally get a purchase like nearly on point for it to equate that, which my experience has always been no. The cost per add to cart is lower, the amount of carts is lower, the CTR is lower, the cost per click is higher. So just all the metrics. Remember, look at your ad sets and see, okay, well, one of the other things to look at, if something's spent more and has a lower cost of purchase and a higher ROAS, and something spent less and already has a higher, remember, it only gets worse. 98% of the time, it only gets worse, right? And the thing is, there's so many audiences to test, so many ways to test, that you don't want to get bogged down on what if. Just take a decisive action, be like, boom, turn it off, try another audience. So what I'm going to be trying soon is now 6 to 8%, and then I'll try 8 to 10%. In fact, I'm going to try both of those as separate ad sets just to see what works. And then over time, depending on that, I might, if those keep working, I'll do 4 to 8%, then I'll do 4 to 10%. What I keep doing is I keep testing, but I'm adding more in, right? So trust me, it might sound like it's targeting all the same people, but it doesn't, because you target different pockets. Remember, I'm only spending, how much have I spent? God, I hate the ads manager at times. So 4,800, 900, 1,250, $1,300, and I think probably $300 on Google. Yeah, so 1.5K for 18K back. I'd say that's pretty good, right? I might not be doing $1 million a month. I might not be doing all of that, but I'm making good bang for my buck and I'm having fun with it. So, and I mainly want to do this because I really enjoy making content too. So my point is, that's how you do it. And you do the exact same thing at the ad level as you do at the ad set level. There's no difference. You just look at those columns, make that judgment, follow that. Don't hesitate, right? Don't do the what if. I see all the people, what if? Yeah, there is a million what ifs, right? I've probably made a million mistakes that I would never know exist. But in the media buying game, you don't really have room to do that. You just make the judgment. There's so many audiences, so many ways you can run ads. Just move on. If you got something that's working, you know it's working, try something slightly different. You will find other things that keep working, right? So that's pretty much it. I hope that has been helpful. If you did like today's video, be sure to like, share, subscribe. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time. Have a lovely day. Take care and goodbye.